Hi, it's Gary. Welcome to today's video. So today we're starting the 2025 Fountain Pen Tournament. Where do we start? Well, we start with heat number 1. The first 3 heats, they're all pens under 100 Aussie dollars. Today's contenders, here we go. There was a quick look at them. So join me now, down on the table, and we'll explore these pens. Welcome down to the table. Heat number 1, here we go, with my first 3 pens. We've got the Platinum Preppy. We've got the Fuliwen 017 in the Starry Night pattern. And then we've got the Jinhao 9013 in this glorious transparent green. Let's start by looking through the bodies. This is not going to be a detailed walk through the body. If you want a detailed walkthrough, there are other videos about these on my channel. What we're going to look at really is similarities, differences and key points. So the first one is size. Well, you can see here that Jinhao 9013, a lot smaller, a lot thinner. The Preppy, bit thinner there than that Fuliwen. And the Fuliwen, I quite like the way that that feels in the hand. That's a nice thickness. Obviously, materials are different. All 3 are cartridge converters. So with the Preppy, what I'm using here is one of the cartridges. It isn't blue. I've changed the ink in here. I think it actually is a blue colour, but I might be wrong there. I can't remember exactly what the ink is. We'll come to that in a minute. All I've done is I've refilled the cartridge. I have used this eyedropper. As you can see, there's all these plastic threads here. I've recently bought a converter to go with it. So with this, you have to buy a converter separately. The converter costs more than the pen. With the Fuliwen, we'll come back and look at the caps in a minute. So again, here's a converter. Converter came with it. Metal fitting, so not something I'd even think about eyedroppering. Quick thing to note there, there's no clip. And then with the Jinhao, here we go. This doesn't look like a standard Jinhao converter. The 9016 and the 9019 have got quite large converters, but this one works really well. Again, it's all metal fitting, so you couldn't even think about eyedroppering that. The material each one is made of, we've got plastic here. You know, it feels rather cheap. We've got plastic here. This feels more solid. Then we've got this nice, although yes, I know you could say it's plastic, this nice resin here. It really looks quite pretty. The caps. On the Preppy, it pulls off. The Jinhao, the Fuliwen. Going to use this because there's no clip, so there's half, 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5, nearly 3 turns to take that off. I'm going to pop that there next to the Preppy, and then with the Jinhao, half, 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5, about 2 3/4 there to take that off. And again, let's pop that so we can look at the nibs. Taking a closer look at the nibs, we've got this Preppy with this, I always like to think it's a Lamy style. I don't think it fits a Lamy pen, but that's what it always reminds me of. We've got the Fuliwen there with the number 6 nib. And here we've got the Jinhao. Again, the nib looks like a number 6 nib. I haven't tried swapping the nibs on these 2 pens, but I think that may be possible. Let's get this out of the way and do a quick size comparison. I brought in my 2 standards, so the Pilot Metropolitan and the Lamy Safari. So as we look at these, you can see lengthwise, the Fuliwen and the Preppy slightly longer than the Metropolitan, and the Fuliwen slightly longer there than the Safari. Let's take the caps off. With the caps off, to be honest, not much of a different story. The only thing you could really say is the Preppy is just a little bit shorter there than the Metropolitan. Let's move this out of the way and fetch in a rule of measuring. What do they feel like in the hand? Let's just move these two out of the way, shall we? Get rid of those distractions. So with a Preppy, that's nice. It's got a nice wide section. The length is nice. Will it post? Yes, it posts really well. Because it's this plastic, it's really thin plastic, it doesn't add any weight onto the end. So that's a Preppy. With the Fuliwen in the hand, yeah, that feels really nice. Again, nice wide section. We've got a lip here at the bottom. I hold my pens down near the bottom so my fingers can just rest there. And again, it's a nice length. It does post. I think it looks ugly when it's posted, and it's very back heavy. You can feel it there trying to topple over in my hands. So that was a Fuliwen 017. And then with the Jinhao, the section actually feels quite nice. It's got a nice width to it. The pen now starting to feel a little bit on the short side, not unusably so. It will post. Again, when it's posted, it's nice. The cap, because it's plastic, doesn't add an awful lot of weight, and it adds that little bit of length to make this really nice to use. So that was the Jinhao 9013. Let's move over and fetch in the rule of measuring. So we'll start with the Preppy. So the length with the cap on there, that comes in at 13.8 centimetres. Unposted is about 12.2. And then posted, here we're seeing about 15.3. The width of the body, there we go, 1.2. Width of the cap, 1.3. The section goes from 1.02 up to 1.07, so really nice. With a Fuliwen, with the cap on, comes in at 14.4 centimetres. Unposted, here we're looking at 13.5. That's what I got when I measured it with my calipers, but on here we're actually looking at 12.8. And then when it's posted, wow, 17.3, quite long, isn't it? The width of the body, so there, that's 1.6 centimetres. The width of the cap is 1.8 centimetres, and the section, that goes from 1.1 up to 1.3. The Jinhao, there we go. So with the cap on, 12.8 centimetres. Unposted, that comes in at 11.5. And posted, here we've got 14, or just over 14. Width of the body, I'm going to measure it about here. That comes in at 1.34. I know, got extra precision on this one. The width of the cap, 1.63. And the section, if I can avoid dropping the pen, that goes from 1.15 up to 1.18. So not a lot of difference there as we go up the section. Let's get this out of the way and fetch in the scales of weighing. Here we've got the scales of weighing. We'll start with a Preppy again. So the full pen, 13.03 grams. And then the body, 8.9. And the cap, 4.17, near enough 4.2, isn't it? Remember, we've got ink in there. With a Fuliwen, I can stop it rolling. There we go. 29.24, so a lot heavier. Body alone, 20.85, and then the cap, 8.43. And finally, the Jinhao. Here we've got 19.64 for the full pen, 12.18 for the body, and 7.47 there for the cap. As said, remember, all three pens have got ink in them. Let's get this out of the way and fetch in the notepad of testing. Just dropping in to interrupt your regular programming. Would you like to help support the channel? If so, please consider joining as a member. As a member, you'll get early access to my videos. I normally upload them a couple of days before they go out, and as soon as they're uploaded, they'll be released to members. There'll also be a shout out at the end of the videos, and then as we get the members coming in, we'll actually chat among ourselves and work out what other perks, what other things you'd like me to add in. You know, would you like maybe a monthly live chat just for members? All down to us. So please, if you can, consider joining the channel. A link will be in the description down below. Here we've got the notepad of testing. This is Apica paper. It's an A5 notepad and it's a lined pad. So I'm just going to turn it around on the side. And we'll start with a Preppy. So we've got here a platinum Preppy. I don't know why my head earlier on said it was a bluish ink. It's not. It's more like a purple. The nib on here is a 05 nib, which sort of equates to a Japanese medium. Price-wise, you're looking about 10 Aussie dollars. That's without a converter. If you want the converter, I think the converter was about $15, so it's a lot. You actually pay more for the converter than you do for the pen. The ink is by Diamine. And one of my favourite sayings, bah, humbug. Let's do a wasky swirl grid. I've just got a little bit of room there to squeeze it in. So up and down, filling that really nicely. I do like the look of this bar humbug as well as the name. And we go down across and then a grid and a diagonal grid. So seeing, as I'm going down, I'm seeing the line ever so slightly wider looking than when I'm going across. Next up, we've got the Fuliwen pen. Let me move this up a bit. So we've got a Fuliwen. Wow, this is like writing on ice. It's very, very, very smooth. So the Fuliwen 017 with a medium nib. Price-wise, you're looking about 38 Aussie dollars. The ink is by Diamine and it's Vibe. So nice sheening ink. Let's do our grid. So we go up and down, side to side, grid. So medium, as in this is more of a European style medium. You can see there it's a wider line than we're getting with that platinum Preppy. So that's the Fuliwen 017. Now we've got the Jinhao 9013. So as you can see, unposted, no you can't see because I've got my hand out of shot, there we go. Unposted, it doesn't look very nice, it doesn't feel very nice, but once I post it and get that clip around that way, yeah, that's better, 9013. On here I've got a medium nib. Price wise, this is about 12 Aussie dollars. The ink is by Colorverse and it's NGC2264. We'll do our grid. Whilst I'm doing the grid, I can't remember if I mentioned, this paper is by Apica. What I'm going to do is use this paper for all the heats. I'm going to use a different paper when it comes to doing the semi-finals, and then for the final I'll use a different paper again. So we'll see the pens as they progress writing on different papers. What we'll do now is I'm going to write a sentence with each of the pens. As I'm writing the sentence, I'm going to move the mic down to the page so you can hear the pen writing. That's nice. We've got a nice tactileness to it. We've got a nice audible feedback there coming through as well. I really enjoy writing with the Preppy. And when you consider the price, you know, it's really not a bad pen at all. Now with the Fuliwen. an awful lot quieter. The nib feels like it's sliding all over the page. Feels like it's hard to control because it's that smooth. And let's move this up. And finally, we'll go for that Jinhao. To me, that's the loudest sounding of the three. It's also the one which has got the most tactileness to it as I'm writing. It's such a pleasurable pen to write with. Very, very nice. So let's take one final look at the pens. So my 3 pens, the Platinum Preppy with Diamine bar Humbug, the Fuliwen 017 with Diamine Vibe, and the Jinhao 9013 with Colorverse NGC2264. That's a bit of a mouthful, that ink. I like all 3. They've all got their pros and cons. So it's over to you now. Head on over to my YouTube community page. There you'll find a poll and you can then vote for the pen that you want to win Heat 1 and progress into the first semi-final. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. So here's the pens. Which one do you want to win? Head on over to the YouTube community page. There you'll find a poll where you can vote for the winning pen. The polling will close on Saturday, and then on Sunday's live stream I'll announce the winner and that pen will move forward to the semi-finals. Drop any comments you have down below. Let's kickstart some conversations. Please hit the thumbs up button. Every time you like, every time you comment, just helps with the YouTube algorithm. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel so that you can get new videos as I release them. I'll talk to you again soon.